So look, I suppose we're heading into the Easter weekend. It's one of the busier weekends of the year, on the Clare coast. And this year, I suppose, be very direct with people because I suppose the forecast is reasonably serious. So we're already looking at moderate to fresh westerly winds today and strengthening now, and particularly on Saturday as Storm Dave tracks close to the west and northwest coast, so it's going to be bringing gale force winds along the Irish coast and the Clare coast in particularly now with some more widespread rain. So this really isn't the weekend for cliff edges and rock platforms. So the sea really now is in no mood for visitors in these locations. So I think the ask is pretty straightforward, to be honest. So the check met air and marine forecast before you go anywhere near the water this weekend. Not just the general weather forecast, but the wind, swell, sea state. If it's rough, the coastal path is a wonderful walk, but fishing will still be around next weekend, so steer clear of that. If you're going anywhere near the water's edge at any point, whether it's walking, fishing, kayaking, wear a life jacket and tell someone your plan and when and where and exactly you'll be coming back.
Would you discourage people from participating in those activities like fishing or kayaking or something that actually involves you getting into the water?
Well, look, I don't think we can brush past the recent tragedy of the Safi family recently in the blue pool near Doombeg. So this is really an absolutely devastating loss. Where two brothers had built their life here over the last decade and enjoying a day off. But this is the real human reality at the moment. So like, for example, the blue pool is a very specific and well-known hazard, with sudden unexpected swells, rogue waves, etc. So you can be standing on rocks in what looks like to be very reasonable conditions, and a wave can come from nowhere and simply take you. So this is the problem, really. So I suppose the conditions the past few weeks have been particularly rough, and the swell builds out in the Atlantic, and it doesn't necessarily show itself in the surface in a way that might feel alarming. So I think it's sort of something to note too.
And communication, always important. I'm sure you'd agree here, to make sure that people around you know what you're doing, where you're going, what time you'll be back.
Yeah, certainly. And another point too as well. The one thing people sort of consistently underestimate this time of year is water temperature. So the sea off the Clare coast right now could be 9 or 10 degrees, and if you unexpectedly go into the cold water shock can take hold in seconds. So it can bring on cardiac events very rapidly, and most people's instinct is to swim hard, but that's the wrong response. It's actually the opposite. We want people to float, lean back, spread their arms and legs, and let the shock pass. Take about 60 to 90 seconds if you don't panic, and that's why we call float to live, and it's a message that we come back to again and again, and it genuinely saves lives.
Is there a final message you want to get out to people heading to the waterways this weekend, Charlie?
So I suppose, look, if you see somebody in trouble, call 999 112 immediately and ask for the Coast Guard. Look, give the exact location. Do not enter the water after somebody. It's completely a natural instinct, but entering cold and rough water without training, without a life jacket, almost always results in 2 casualties instead of 1.